who is kind of ready to start doing stuff with the little you portion of this? Now, it's interesting because I would guess that most of you guys are truly already into this, whatever this is, whatever this work is, and it's like the inner child work isn't necessarily new to you. It's something that you've experienced and you've familiar with, and that's what I really want you to recognize um, is that you are doing the inner work already. You've been doing the inner work. It's brought you to this place. And with that in mind, then keeping, what's the word I'm looking for? It's brought you to this place. So keeping the momentum going. Thank you. So I'm not going to go hog wild on this part about the inner child because I think that most of you are familiar with it. And if you're not, then do raise your hand and I will dig a little deeper into this. Okay. Um, my understanding of, and you notice I don't say this is what it is. You know, notice I keep saying my understanding. So it's because you each may have your own ideas. And I am never going to sit here and tell you you're wrong because every one of us has the ability to connect in at whatever it is um, and have something that resonates very intimately for ourself. And I really want to make that clear to each and every one of you. At no point am I going to tell you you're wrong because you're never wrong per se. Okay. You are connected in and there's something you're connecting to, period. And I think that's something too that I really want to do again is it's the simplicity of this. So the things that we're doing today, if you choose to step into the simple knowing that you are doing it, you are doing it. And even if you don't choose to step into the simple acknowledgement that you're doing it, you are still doing it. That's what I want you to know is that you are connected and you are doing it. And if you don't get, visions or colors or frequencies or whatever it is, that it's still okay because you are still connecting, you are still doing it. And it is like anything. We learned how to do up our laces. We learned how to do up our zippers. We learned how to do up our buttons. We learn how to be in awareness of our guidance. Okay. It's just, one of those tools that as we work with it, it becomes easier. Do you guys think I started out the way I am today? Not at all. I have shifted and changed so much to get to this point. But it started with that simple acknowledgement, first of all, of expectations was where mine started. It truly was. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the inner child. It's what I've been shown is that the inner child, that little you, and I call her the little you because I that's a term that I relate to very closely, but it's inner child and little you. So I'll probably bounce between both, etc. So that little you literally resides within our belly. And I say that because the little you has been shaped and formed by things actually preconception to usually 6 or 7 years of age. And it can be on either side of that as well, just to be really clear. However, in this lifetime, it's usually between preconception and 6 or 7 years of age. That's where we learn that, oh, mommy just wants you to be quiet for now. Oh, don't cry. All these bits and pieces. Oh, you did that wrong. You gotta write straighter. You gotta be doing this way or that way. Like we've learned all these expectations in that time frame. And I say preconception and conception because we can still hear in the womb. Okay. And you're hearing all those things that parent is already dealing with. Okay. And now, so I say too that the little you is housed in the belly, the solar plexus, because all those things, remember, if you've been catching some of the emails that I've been sending out, or if you've been listening to me in other arenas, then it's that awareness that we're reacting as an adult still. We're reacting as the adult from that inner child, that little you's point of view. So what that means is that if you find yourself saying, oh, why did I react that way? It's because you're actually reacting from your child version self. If you think, oh, I should be doing this differently, because it's like, why am I scared of that? Or why am I not doing that? Again, it's because you're still reacting from that inner child's piece. So all of us likely have been doing some sort of inner work, and whatever that looks like, we have gotten to this point where we're exploring more deeply. And so that means that we have started to recognize these emotions, these feelings, and that we're stepping into life a little bit differently. And that's one of the things I really want you to recognize about that belly solar plexus energy, first of all. It's like a tightrope in there. It's a very, very thin line, and you have the choice in there. That little you has the choice while they're standing in there. So you can actually imagine a tightrope and your little you standing on that tightrope. And they can either fall back in fear and anxiety or choose to step into their life in a different way. Those feelings actually will feel very, very similar, if not exactly the same, but how the what's the word I'm looking for? Oh gosh, I was so in the flow. The results will be different. So if you fall back into anxiety and fear, that result is going to be different than if you chose to step into your life. I used to say step into the excitement, but people couldn't grasp that word excitement. If they had never really experienced fun and joy in their life, they couldn't experience excitement. So it's more of the stepping into your life. If you chose, when you have that feeling in your belly, to go, ooh, okay, I'm open with no expectations, no limitations. I am creating my outcome. I'm stepping into this. That is so powerful, right? Because you can even hear my voice. You can feel my energy is different. And sadly, I'm going to do the reverse now. So if you chose to fall back into fear instead, your mind would grab control of you. You would start to be throwing out all these different thoughts that were prohibiting you or affecting you in an adverse way, that would really be hindering you from moving forward, because now you're suddenly, oh my God, somebody's going to say something, or I'm going to do something wrong, or da 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 da. You can feel the difference in those energies, right? So I'm just going to bring you gently back to consciously, just even with the thought, I'm going to step into my life. Take a breath. So I think now you can understand why I feel the solar plexus energy and the little you really work hand in hand together, right? The little you is also a guide that is very much a part of us versus a lot of guides that are out there, meaning, like our angel guides are, if we're shamanic, it's our power animals. If we're in the fairy realm, all those different types of guides, the crystal guides, those are all kind of exterior. This little you is a guide that's very intimate and very inside. And that's just like the inner dragon energy too, which we'll come up to later. So, another part of this is, again, like, it's so simple to connect with our little yous. And it's so comical because I think I walk around permanently connected to my little you, because all I have to do is think about my little you, and I'll get a vision of my little you. And I've done this on bike rides. I've done this driving the vehicle. I've done this on hikes and walks and sitting with my kids. Like I am constantly connecting with my inner child, constantly, and just seeing what they're doing or getting a sense of how they're reacting in the space. So it becomes almost like second nature to be that connected. And that's what I'm really recognize that as you're doing your inner work, that's what you're doing. You're getting closer to that inner child, more connected to that little you portion of yourself. Okay. So, we're going to connect with our inner child, and I'm actually going to have you do something really kind of interesting with your inner child. Now, again, I want you to recognize, first of all, you are the one who's in power, technically, meaning that if things come up and you dislike those things, that you can just change those things. Okay, say it's a color you don't like, well, change the color. There is probably a reason why that color's coming up, and just make a note of it, acknowledge it and make a note of it, right? If nothing comes up for you, then still I really want you to acknowledge that you are connecting in to the best of your ability in this space now. And something will occur as you start to flow through this on a more consistent basis, okay? Again, it's the simplicity of things. And um, I love playing around with that brain slide. I truly do. And so, we've been talking about all kinds of stuff, and technically we're all in this space. And technically I could just say, oh, let's just go connect with our little U's. However, I'd like to bring you into this space again. So I'm going to invite you to do the brain slide with your little U. So that's one of the quickest ways to connect with your inner child, your little you. So imagining again that little portion of yourself on top of your head, that little version of yourself. You can even imagine possibly what they're wearing, what their hair looks like, the emotion that's coming out of them. And then feel that slide that's there for them to slide down, knowing that they're connecting with their heart space. And invite your little you to slide down the slide and feel the woohoo wee. And when I go woohoo wee, do that at your space. Go woo. Ah, yeah. Mm. And let that little you do that again. So they're going to run back up, whatever that looks like. And it's so interesting because every time that I do this, I've seen so many different modes of how they get up to back up to the top of the head. Sometimes it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen those in elementary schools, those Canadian gym. I don't know if they're called Canadian gyms. They're jungle gyms, and they're on one wall of the gymnasium, and I could just see the child climbing all the way up to it. Another way that I see inner children, little U's climbing up, is with a rope that's got knots, like they're climbing up the side of a mountain real quick. Tree limbs, hiking stairs, climbing up a mountain, whatever it is, just really feel the energy of the excitement of your little you running to the top to go down that slide again. And this time you get to go with them. So are you sitting and they're sitting on your lap? Do they want you to go first? Are they going first? And then feel the woohoo wee. This is another one of those things that I could just sit there in the energy of that for the next half hour. It's so easy, so very easy. So I'd love to know, first of all, in the chat, um, how did you find that? Were you able? Yes, you were able to connect with your inner child that way, your little you. Secondly, what did that feel like? How did that feel? And third part of this, so one is, did you connect? How did it feel? And then thirdly, where were you on the next slide down the slide? Were you the mode of transportation, or did you get to go first or last? So Mary did it together, a double slide. Wow, that's cool. Together and Sadie was last. My little you pushed me to go first. Al's was together. Yeah. Connected together and felt whole and empowered. Beautiful. Yeah. I noticed too that I wrote down that mine was pigtailed and skinny. Like this little rail. And that's one of the things that I really started to notice was that when I'm connecting in with my inner child, it is such a fast and easy way to gauge if the emotions and feelings that I'm experiencing, if they're mine, when I connect in with my inner child, it is the fastest and easiest way to gauge if what I'm experiencing is something that has been devastating for my childlike version of myself, or if it's been empowering or joyful. And the reason I say this is back in uh, and it's so bizarre. Thank you. I just had a do happen for myself. So that was really wild. Back in 2000-ish, I stepped off a stepladder and I dislocated my pelvis on both sides. And it affected my life for the rest of my life, in essence. What happened though is it was some months later that I went to a healing facilitator, and she's like, "Did you retrieve yourself?" And I'm like, "What?" And that's when I started to really start to understand so much more about this being able to connect in with our inner child and so much more, right? And I was like, "No, I have no idea what you mean." And so she walked me through what to do. And it was in that moment that I actually saw myself still sitting on the ground. And I hadn't actually fallen. I had just stepped off and dislocated my pelvis. But I was sitting on the ground with my knees bent and my arms around my knees. And I was still energetically there in that place like that 2 or 3 months later. And that was really enlightening to me because then it showed me like a whole gamut of things that I can do, like rewriting the energy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm telling you all these things so that you understand that there's so much magic out there that you have access to. So just allowing these little bits and pieces to fall into place for yourself and let them, it's so funny. I want to use the word explode because that's what my little you wants to say, explode into more magic. Okay. Um, so I oftentimes really see my little you in a very specific picture. I had been leafing through some magazine, creating a vision book a number of years ago, and I saw this picture that was like a half page of this magazine, and I could have sworn it was a picture of me with pigtails and all the freckles, and it was me as a child because it looks so much like me. So I actually have this picture, and that picture really personifies who I was as a child. And yet I see myself in all different modes too. Like I see myself in orange shorts. I see myself in all different kinds of modes when I connect in with my inner child. So it's just because I choose to connect in, she's showing more of herself to me now. Okay. Any questions? Does anybody want to speak to what they just experienced? I'd love a share. Mary, are you willing to share? Yes, you're unmuted.
When you're speaking about the energy of retrieving, that's such an interesting concept that how August was a month for me where I had a lot of falls, but I think how you sort of leave yourself energetically, for the future, for it happening again. So I thought, wow, that's powerful.
Wow, Mary, you just brought up, like I said, we could go off on a complete tangent with that, and you've been in my area, so you know about some of these rewriting the energy of that and going back and collecting yourself. Yeah, so very, very powerful. I'm so glad that came up for you there. When I had that aha moment, basically what happened there is back in gosh, when would that have been? 2022, I went away to a retreat, and I had spent that year choosing uh, to love myself. Okay. And in loving myself, that was really that childlike version of myself. And at that retreat, I actually reclaimed back my feminine side. And what I mean by that is, as a child of about 12 years old, I had actually, I can picture this right now. I was swinging on a rope on a tree rope, like swinging out over a driveway, I think it was. And I managed to sprain my ankle, and my parents did not react in the way that I expected them to. And so their reaction was like, "Oh, she's tough, she can handle it." And so I chose to go, "Oh, I'm so tough, I don't need the feminine side," and then chose to live from 12 years of age until 22, 20, sorry, I'm not meaning 22 years of age, from the age of 12 till 2022. I chose to live without really acknowledging that feminine side of myself. Like that's like 40 years, 48 years or something like that of not acknowledging that feminine side. And so I just realized just now how these little pieces just went do together, of not even going back and claiming myself in these different places, because nobody cared anyway. Because that's what my parents showed me. They didn't, they thought, and that's what I took it to mean. Not that they knew I could handle it because I was tough. I took it to mean they didn't care because I was 12. Isn't that interesting? So see how our child version of ourselves carries so much forward. And I still am, I don't want to use the word battling, although that is the word that comes up. I still battle with really different ways of thinking, in my mind, different ways of thinking, when I do have an injury as an adult, because of how I was treated at that time when I was 12. Not to say that that was a bad way to treat me, but that's how I took it at the age of 12. Okay. So also too, when we were very specific about that. I want to take us through a really cool process here right away. So first though, I want to do one more thing. So you're just really feeling, first of all, did anybody have any connection, or sorry, did anybody have any problems connecting with their inner child? Raise your hand using the react at the bottom and the raise hand thing if you had a problem, because I would love to help you with this now. You're not alone. You're all okay? Okay. I also want to tell you guys, again, I'm going to just re-emphasize this, that your interaction with me helps the entire room. So whether you're sharing your experiences, whether you're sharing things that have happened to you during the call or in the past, you are empowering the whole room. And also too, you are making huge strides in seeing yourself. And I just really want to bring that home to you, because ultimately, when you're doing the inner work, it is because you're choosing to start to see yourself. And when you start to see yourself, you're starting to make a stand for yourself. Okay. And I know that we did the I am love mantra at the beginning of that. I'm going to invite you to connect with your inner child in just a second here. And we're actually going to connect using a mantra this time. And Sadie just asked, is there a quicker way to connect with our little ones? I'd like to connect with my little you. I'd like to connect with my inner child. That's as simple as it gets. And that's all you have to think of. In fact, you don't even have to think that phrase, just look for them. As I said, though, that it becomes second nature if you choose to keep doing it. So if you're in this class and then you never connect with your inner child again until you do another Reveal the Incredible You event in January next year, then that tool is not being created. Okay. But like, and I'll get you your hand there just in a second here, Marion. An example of this is, I have chosen to do this 40 days of drawing cards. I haven't gotten past day 12, and I can tell you that definitely more than 12 days have passed. However, there's something really powerful about these two dragons. One was on day 11, it was Mordwin, or I shouldn't even say day, I say drawing 11 was Mordwin, and drawing number 12, if you will, I hope I got my numbers right there, is a crystal dragon. And there's something very powerful about what's going on with them. Now, I could just totally ignore that and never think about them. And we'll never get anywhere with them. However, last night when I laid down to go to bed, I laid there for a moment and I connected in with Mordwin. I connected in with that crystal dragon. And boom, I'm getting more information. I'm getting stronger connection now. Okay. I love that what you just said, light and dark. Wow. I never even realized that. Thank you, Sadie. Yeah, Mordwin is dark and the crystal dragon. Wow, that's wow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, balance, eh? So, is there a quicker way to connect with our little ones? Literally just thinking about our little ones. Think about that childlike version of ourselves. I mean, look at how easy it was to do that brain slide. Seriously, that brain slide took 30 seconds. I drew it out. It may have felt like it was a lot longer, but it only takes like under 30 seconds. Right? Same with I'd like to connect with my inner dragon, or sorry, my inner child. We're not at the inner dragon part yet. It's easy to connect once there's trust that you show up for yourself, not judging what comes up. Exactly. Marian, thank you for your patience.
I just don't know how relevant it is, but I just probably need a bit of clarification. I know we're connecting with our inner child, but I've only reconnected
Okay.
just a couple of weeks ago with a part of me that disconnected when I was 8 years old. So that reconnection was amazing. And so I'm kind of getting a little, when I'm connecting, because this is so new to me, I mean, this reconnection just made me feel very whole, which is great. So I don't know whether I'm confused about that, or like I know what you're saying, the inner child is a different thing altogether. But because I've just been recently reconnected with the energy of myself that has been missing for all these years. Yeah, it's kind of be a little bit confusing.
And thank you for this. I think it's a really powerful question you just asked, Marian. And one of the ways that I want to answer that is that the simplicity of my calling back my feminine side in 2022 was reconnecting with that aspect of myself. It didn't mean that it was gone. It's just that it was reconnected. So that's same with this inner child part of yourself, the little you part of yourself. It's always been there. You made the choice, or you were open enough to allow that bridge to occur again. Also, too, because of you mentioning an age here, I also really want you guys each to know that your little you, your inner child, is going to show up at all kinds of different ages. All kinds of different ages. It could show up as a baby. It could show up as a 3-year-old who's toddling around. It could be a baby that's crawling. It could be, the 8-year-old that's attempting to do something. Like whatever it is, your inner child, your little you, is going to show up at whatever age. And I think the simplest advice that I would have for you, Mary, and anybody else who feels like they've just reconnected with their that portion of self, the inner child, the little you, is first of all the knowledge that that part of yourself has always been there, and you are now at a part in your own journey to support that child like portion of yourself in a manner that you've never been in before. Also too, yes, Simone just wrote something very important there. We all have boys and girls energy, our male and female energies. I know a beautiful soul in my community who, when she connects with that inner child, it's always been masculine. It's always been a little boy. That has nothing to do with our sexual gender or how we identify, whatever sex we identify as. It has nothing to do with that. That's just, it's the energy of what that little you is showing up as. Yeah. Yeah, I'm tomboy. Sadie, you have no idea. Or maybe you do. Yeah, very, very much have walked the pathway of being a tomboy, and actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, that's why you guys heard me say I worked for the railroad as a conductor on freight trains, not a secretary. Right? I'm so glad of that because of the life that I've lived, right? Anyway, so we're going to take just a moment here right now to connect and hold our little U's. First of all, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. I'm going to say the phrase, we're going to connect in, and then I'm going to ask you to pay attention to where they are and what emotion do you feel coming from them, or how do you think they feel? And then just kind of, I'll give you a moment to do that. And then I'm going to invite you to let them know that you fully support them. And I'll verbalize some of this. And then we're going to walk through the I am love mantra, actually holding or embracing or the hands, whatever, however your little you wants to be supported as we walk through the I am love mantra, as we share that with our little yous. Okay. So take a breath, close your eyes. I would like to connect with my little you.
Oh, sorry. Oh, retreat, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
I'd like to connect with my little you. You may even get a sense of some of their personality with this. So give yourself a moment to just let them know that you are there to support them, speak to them about this, or even just in my words, you're letting them know that. Asking if they would like to be held or hold hands because you have something that you want to share with them, beautiful mantra. I am love. I am loved. I am loving. I am lovable. I love me. I love myself. I am divine love. We are divine love. I love all aspects of myself. And so it is. So taking a moment now to make some notes on how your little you showed up, how they felt, and then how you held them, or what was that experience there as you breathed your way through the I am love mantra. I know we have a few people here who are off camera. Would any of you guys like to share what your experience was with that? Or do you have questions? Just starting first with those who are off camera. Anybody on camera like to share? That's all right if you don't. I know this is a personal one. Okay, Marion. Thank you.
I could feel as if the little me was straddled across my lap, two legs either side. So we literally had heart-to-heart connection.
Mm.
And when you said right about how you're feeling, I didn't want to stop the feeling I was feeling in order to write.
Mm.
It was like a heart-to-heart comfort and a joy. And it's interesting because the last time I was on an event with you, you talked about me, myself, and I, right? And I created a card for that for one of my decks, okay? And here's the very interesting thing. I was in Sweden a couple of weeks ago visiting my daughter, who just bought a house there. And there's a group of bikers, about 8 bikers behind us. They're having their lunch and we're chatting in Swedish and we're talking away. And next of all, one of the gentlemen says, me, myself, and I. I just thought, oh my goodness, I would love to know what the conversation was for him to say that and to say it in English, because I don't know Swedish, it was just so funny. And I was just thinking about that. And I've written that down, the card I created for me, myself, and I. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I definitely want you to share that with us in just a little bit, the card, if you've got the painting handy.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marion. She just brought up something really important, because honestly, when I went into this, I was like thinking about, oh my gosh, I could say something about the me, myself, and I. So I love that you're that connected. Like there's an intuitive hit right there, right? Like you are intuitively connecting into the energy there for sure. So what I personally mean by the me, myself, and I, it's that middle part of that is the human body, the physical body, who I am. The me is always that little child. It's either the little you or it's the inner child. It always is, because it's all about the me. Take care of me, you're right. And then that that I part is got different connotations. It's the inner dragon energy. It's the higher self energy. And then that myself part of it is that, again, that human body, that who I am intricately, right? And when the I love myself portion came in, I love me. I can sit here all day and talk about loving my inner child, big time loving my inner child. So for me to say I love me is no problem at all. At the beginning of 2022, when I introduced, or I was it was channeled to introduce the I love myself, that's when I realized that I didn't actually love myself, my human body, that portion of myself, right? And so that me, myself, and I are so powerful. So it's me, myself, and I. It's the inner child, the human body, the higher self. It's the little you, the physical, the inner dragon, like all of these pieces. You can see how they kind of intermingle with each other. So I'm so thankful you brought that up, Marion. Thank you. Wow. Great minds think alike, or great hearts think alike. Anybody else like to share their experience? We just were doing some a quick little connecting in with our little U's, a couple little U's, and just kind of showing the simplicity and the ease of that. Would anybody else like to share theirs? My shark's gonna go by. So for myself, it was so comical because my little you knew we were going to be doing this and you know, was waiting patiently in whatever form they usually wait as. And just a second, Sadie, I'll get to you in a moment here. In whatever form they were showing up as. And then when I connected in with you guys, my little you actually showed up in this little army outfit. It was almost like in these khakis, and it was very much like in a commanding and marching kind of mode. It was really comical. And then chose to be held like an infant baby and just cradled in my arms and rocked back and forth as I breathed our way through the I am love mantra. So it was just really, really interesting to see that they can show up in one way, but also show up like that in a completely different manner. And thank you for your patience, Sadie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that really, me, myself, and I, because I also see it as the physical aspect of us, the mental aspect of us, and the emotional aspect of us, as the embodiment of all parts of us coming together on another level. So I just wanted to share that.
I really appreciate that. There's so many aspects to that. There's the mine, yours, ours. We could do the Holy Trinity. We can do, you know, the different realms and dimensions. Like there is this beginning, middle, and end into infinity and beyond, right? Like there's so many things that we can do with the three. So I really appreciate that because you're taking it even a step further than mind, body, and soul. Like it's just, I could feel the power of what you've said there. Thank you for sharing. So everybody feels fairly confident and comfortable with connecting with their little yous, their inner children right now? Okay. I'm going to actually have you guys do something really kind of interesting right now. Okay. And it's so wild because I always think something might go this way and then something else shows up that it wants to go this way in this direction. And I want to play with the idea, and I think it was sparked because of what Marion just said, that I didn't want to come out of the energy and start writing. Well, you're actually going to be invited to write with your little you right now, okay? Your little you would like to write a letter to you. Okay, so if you've got your pen and paper handy, I'm going to kind of set up this. I'm going to grab a journal myself. Oh, I want to show you guys something first. I'm going to go off in two directions real quick here. First of all, I have these little mantra cards, the I am love and the I am open mantra. These are the old mantra cards. I have a whole stack of them and I'm attempting to get through this stack. So if anybody ever wants any of these in their physical possession, I would love to actually mail them to you. I mail them out at my cost, and currently they're literally all over the world. South Africa, Japan, Greece, North America. They're literally all over the world. So I'd love to mail you out some of those. Secondly, if you caught the email, I was standing in the bathroom the other day. And I was talking about teamwork, and I wasn't talking because I was by myself. I was thinking about teamwork, and what came through was this like hand-drawn image that I was being asked to draw to send to you guys. And I think some of you may have seen it, about the little you, the adult, and then the inner dragon energy. It just felt really fun to put those all together on a piece of paper. So I just wanted to share that with you. These are the type of fun things that happen when you're connecting with that inner child, right? I didn't judge myself on my drawing ability in that or anything. I just flowed with it. So yeah, let me grab a book to write in myself. Okay, actually, okay. So I'm going to set this up, and you'll be on it. I'm going to set it up where you've got about 10 minutes, okay, where you're actually going to dive into this fairly deeply. Actually, I'm going to put it at 15 minutes. And you may think this sounds like an awful long time. However, I'm just really asking you to embrace the energy of this little you, this portion of yourself. You've been making connections. You've been understanding about the different empathic portions of yourself. And you're starting to really witness and feel how immersed this part of yourself is. So I'm inviting you to write a letter from your little you to you, the adult. And so it's probably going to start with however your little you speaks. It might just be, hey, Sandy, or it might be, hi, Sandra. Whatever comes up, just allow that first opening to be whatever feels comfortable with your little you. Let them be the leader, okay? And they're writing a letter to you as the adult. They may express love, they may express fears, they may express whatever they want to express, but be very consistent with letting them know you're fully there to support them, and allow this little you portion of yourself to really express what they're feeling in this space or whatever wants to come up. Okay? Any questions on that? I know it feels a little awkward because how do we write for that like almost like that third person, right? Okay, so I'm going to invite you first just to kind of sit into the energy of this. So closing your eyes, feeling into this energy. And you know what? You can either do a brain slide or a brain swing. Just feeling very connected with that little you, or just a thought. Feel like you're creating this space. Maybe there's a small writing space. It could be inside or outside. Maybe it's on top of a cut tree. Maybe it's a desk in your home. Whatever it is, just enhance this experience by witnessing where you are, first of all, what that looks like, and that you're with your little you. You're giving them the opportunity to write. And so you're giving, and you know what too? Let them know that you'll understand whatever they write down. Whatever age that child is that's showing up, you'll understand it. It's so interesting because I'm actually feeling the word of light codes coming through as well. So just for whoever needs to hear that. So just feeling into the energy of this beautiful love and compassion and support that you feel for your little you, your beautiful inner child. Asking them to feel connected, feeling that connection from their heart to yours and yours to theirs. And let them know that they have an opportunity for freedom of expression, to express themselves maybe in a way they never have before. And that you also have the power to give gentle prompts if it feels like it's necessary to do that. Otherwise, just giving them free rein. Putting a hand on your heart, a hand on your paper. Feeling the little you's energy rise with excitement, with joy, with curiosity. And when you feel comfortable letting that little you start writing, let it be. Go ahead and do that.